everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cooking with Kaitlyn. I am going to be showing you some of my favorite breakfast recipes, and I am just so excited to be spending some time with you today talking about one of the most important meals of the day. So here's a look at what we're going to be talking about. We've got some blueberry muffins with my mom in the kitchen with me. I'm going to be teaching you how to make some pretty easy cinnamon rolls, some ham and cheese quiche bites, and then also we are going to dig into some pancakes, and finally then we are going to move on to a breakfast burrito for those of us that like a little bit more protein for breakfast. So let's go ahead and get started. Well, we're super excited. We are going to be making a family recipe that we've been making for a long time. It's blueberry muffins. They're really easy to make right at home and perfect for breakfast, or if you're taking them to an event, they're going to be great for that too. So let's go ahead and get started. Here's what you're going to need. 1 box of yellow cake mix, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 2 tablespoons of flour, 2/3 cup milk, 1/3 cup vegetable oil, 3 large eggs, and 2 cups of fresh blueberries. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and combine our dry ingredients. So Mom, if you want to grab that cake mix and dump that in, I'm going to go ahead and take our flour and our baking powder. Just pour that into the bowl.
All right, and then there's our cake mix.
Yep. One of the things that a lot of people find interesting is using a cake mix. They expect this recipe to come out really sweet, and it actually doesn't. It comes out to be a perfect muffin that is perfect for breakfast. So, Mom, I'm going to let you go ahead and crack the eggs in there while I add in our milk. And the oil. So, Mom, you grew up cooking too. What was the first thing that you learned how to cook?
One of the first things I learned how to cook, I was with my mom and we were making a chocolate cake for my dad's birthday.
Oh, how fun. That is super cool. So what is some of your favorite memories in the kitchen?
Well, some of my favorite memories with you and your sister are making sugar cookies for the holidays. You guys like to roll out your own dough. You'd pick out your cookie cutter, the shape that you wanted, and cut those out, then we'd bake them, and then you'd decorate them however you wanted to decorate them.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and the start of a cookie baking tradition for sure. For those of you who watch Cooking with Kaitlyn or have watched KY3 for a while, you know that baking cookies is something I do a lot of at Christmas time. So that was probably the start of that tradition.
It was, and you ate a lot of cookie dough.
Yes, I loved eating cookie dough. So cookie dough, cake batter, all of it, which I think you found to be a little on the gross side.
Yes, I do. I think about the raw eggs in it, and that.
Well, you know.
I don't like that, but.
I've made it thus far.
Yes.
I'm still alive.
She's lived this far, so.
All right, so we've got our batter mixed up here. We want to make sure and get all the clumps out, but then we are going to pour in the blueberries, and we're going to fold those in. Now, Mom, you've got a tip here. Why do we stir these in?
You stir these in because if you use a mixer, you will end up with purple muffins.
Yeah, it's going to break up your blueberries.
Break up the blueberries down.
Go ahead and dump all those in there.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll break up the blueberries and cause your batter to turn a purple color. They're still going to taste fine. They just won't be as pretty. Now, once we've got them stirred up, then we are going to take a scoop or a spoon. We're going to just put those right into our muffin tin until it's about 2/3 full.
I prefer the scoop over the spoon.
Yeah, it's easier to be consistent with a scoop that's already pre-measured than it is with a spoon. Alrighty, looks good. So now they are going to go into a 350-degree oven for about 18 to 20 minutes, or until they're a really nice golden brown and pass the toothpick test. So Mom, why don't you go ahead and throw those in the oven? All right, and we'll be right back. All right, sounds like they are ready to go. So let's take a look. They look perfect. Oh my goodness. All right,
This has become one of our favorite recipes.
It really has. We make it all the time. And I can remember like we'd make them for like swim meets or church get-togethers or anytime we had to make a breakfast for something. This was one of our go-tos. So there you go. So that is your blueberry muffin recipe. Mom, thank you so much for being on the show today. All right, well, there you have it. Now, that is a very, very simple muffin recipe. As you could see, we took that to all kinds of events. So if you are looking for something fun to share with friends and family, that recipe will definitely do the trick. Well, another thing that is fun to share with friends and family is cinnamon rolls. So if you're looking for something on the sweet side, then this will be the recipe for you. So let's go ahead and take a look. I am making all kinds of breakfast foods for you to enjoy right at home. And today we're going to be making some amazingly delicious cinnamon rolls. So let's get started. Here's what you're going to need. For the cinnamon roll dough, you need 1/4 ounce package of active dry yeast, 1 cup of warm milk, half a cup of white sugar, 1/3 cup of softened butter, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 eggs, and 4 cups of flour. For the cinnamon roll filling, you're going to need 1 cup of packed brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of cinnamon, and 1 stick of butter. And for the icing, you're going to need 6 tablespoons of butter, 1½ cups of powdered sugar, 1/4 cup of cream cheese, half a teaspoon of vanilla, and 1/8 teaspoon of salt, and some milk. Okay, so the first thing that I did was I went ahead and warmed up my milk, and you do want it to be warm, not hot, because if it's too hot, then it's going to kill the yeast. But we want to make sure that it's about at maybe 100, 110 degrees. Then we're gonna go ahead and put our yeast in there. And then we're gonna stir that up. And we're gonna let that set for about 2 minutes until the yeast bubbles to the top. While we are waiting on that to happen, I'm going to go ahead and mix together my other ingredients. So I've got my 4 cups of flour. Pour that into my bowl. And salt. And sugar. And then I'm going to whisk all of that together before I put in my eggs and my butter. All right, once I've got the dry ingredients all put together there, then I'm gonna go ahead and plop my butter right in. And you're gonna wanna make sure the butter is nice and soft. That's just gonna make it easier for you to mix your dough together versus butter that is straight out of the fridge. That's gonna be really stiff, really hard, and it's gonna take a little while before you can get all those ingredients mixed together. And our 2 eggs. And then now we gotta wait for the yeast to bubble up in our milk, and then once that happens, we'll be ready to pour that in and mix our dough together. So it's hard to see from our camera angles, but we do have our yeast that is floating on the top now, and it's all nice and foamy. So we're gonna go ahead, just pour that into our bowl. And then we're ready to mix it all together. All right, so once you've got it all mixed together, it should look about like this. So you have 1 ball of dough. And then what we're gonna do is we are going to cover this up and set it to the side and then let the dough rise for about an hour until it has doubled in size. So then the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to make our cinnamon filling for our cinnamon rolls. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the cinnamon, and this is 3 tablespoons of cinnamon, and just pour that right in there. And my butter, again, you're gonna want your butter to be on the softer side, so that way it will mix very well and very easy. If your butter is fresh out of the fridge, it is way too hard and you're not gonna be able to mix that together very well. All right, and then we're gonna add in brown sugar. All right, so we've got all that in the bowl. We're gonna switch out. We've got our dough hooks on the mixer right now. We're gonna take those off, put on our regular beaters here. All right, then we're gonna mix all this together. All right, so then your cinnamon filling should look about like this, where it's gonna be real nice and spreadable once we have our dough. Now, speaking of dough, let's go ahead and check it out real quick and see how it's doing. Oh, it's looking really good. So you can see we've doubled in size. So now what we're gonna do is we are going to put some flour down on our board here and then roll that out. All right, and we're gonna just throw the dough right down here on our board. Whoop. All right, and of course you can sprinkle on some more flour. If you realize that the dough is very, very sticky, you can just sprinkle some flour on top of that, and that's gonna help it, again, not stick to your hands, not stick to your board or your rolling pin. So now we're gonna roll this out until it is about 1/4 of an inch thick. And the next thing we're gonna do is take our filling and we're going to put that on top of our dough here. So just gonna grab some of that and spread it all over the dough right there. All right, okay, so once you've got all of the cinnamon spread out, then we're gonna roll it up into one big roll here. And then we're going to just cut off the end here and throw that to the side, throw this end off, throw it to the side. We might make some cinnamon buns with that later. All right, and then we are going to cut it into about 1 inch, 1.5 inch rolls. And we're gonna throw those into a 9x13 pan. So now, once you've got them all in the pan, the next thing we have to do is we need to let them rise one more time for about 10 minutes, just so that they have a little bit more time to get that much fluffier, and then they'll be ready to go in a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes or until they're golden brown. All right, so you can see we cleaned up a little bit and got ready for our next round of making things, but you can see the cinnamon rolls have risen a little bit, so they are ready to go into the oven. So let's go ahead, place them in there. And they're gonna be in there for about 30 minutes. Now, while we are waiting on those to cook, let's go ahead and make our icing for the top. So I already have my butter put into the bowl, and then we're going to add some cream cheese and powdered sugar. There we go. All right, then we're gonna grab our mixer and mix all of that together. Now, if you like a really thick frosting on your cinnamon rolls, then that is fine. That is the consistency that we're at right now. However, I like my cinnamon rolls to have a little bit more of a glaze to them, so I'm gonna thin this down a little bit. And in order to do that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take some milk and you're just gonna add in a couple of teaspoons at a time until it reaches the consistency that you want it to. So let's go ahead and add maybe 4 teaspoons. We'll mix that together. So then, what we're gonna do is just set that to the side, and let's actually check on those cinnamon rolls real quick. I think they are just about ready. Ah, yes, they're looking great. Just nice and golden brown. And put our frosting right on top of those cinnamon rolls. And then serve and enjoy. All right, now don't let that 8-minute video fool you. Those cinnamon rolls are something that takes quite a bit of time. So expect to either get up really early in order to make those and have them ready for breakfast, or make them the day before and then you'll have them ready to go the next day for breakfast. So they're amazingly delicious, and that is a simpler cinnamon roll recipe than others that I have come across in my time cooking, but it's very good and I'm sure you're gonna love it. Just be prepared time-wise. All right, well, the next recipe that I have for you is some mini ham and Swiss quiches. Let's check them out. Today we are going to be making some mini ham and egg quiches, and they are absolutely delicious, super easy to make. Let's get started. Here's what you're gonna need: 4 eggs, half a cup of milk, diced ham, Swiss cheese, and 1 sheet of crescent roll dough. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my crescent roll sheet and I'm going to cut it into little squares to get it ready to go into my muffin tin. And I always use the crescent roll sheet to cut this up because it's just a little bit easier than working with the ones that are already cut into triangles, especially when you're dealing with these mini muffin tins. It just makes life so much easier to be able to cut your own squares. All right, once you got those cut out, then we're gonna go ahead and line each of these muffin spaces with our dough. Once we've got all of our dough into our muffin pan, then we're gonna go ahead and make the filling. So we've got our 4 eggs. We're gonna just crack those into our bowl. Whoops. No eggshells. We don't want any of that. All right. Then we're gonna add in our milk. And then just mix all that together. You're gonna get it to it where it's really well mixed together. It's gonna turn into this nice little yellow color. Then we're going to take a tablespoon and put about a tablespoon of filling into each of our mini quiches. All right, then we're going to sprinkle in some ham in each of them. All right, so once you've got the ham in there, then it's time to sprinkle some cheese on top of each one. And then we're gonna stick it in a 350-degree oven for about 15 to 20 minutes or until the egg is real nice and fluffy. Let's go ahead and stick this in the oven. And we'll be right back. All right, it sounds like they're ready to go. So let's take them out. Oh my gosh, they look amazing. All right, there they are. And then the next thing you need to do is salt and pepper to taste, serve, and enjoy. All right, so one thing that I love about these quiches is that it's so small, you can eat a lot of them. And they are so simple to make that you could make them for any kind of gathering, rather that be, your Sunday school, or you are taking them to either like a wrestling meet or something along those lines, some kind of school function where you got to be there early. Super simple to throw together and definitely a hit. I know a lot of people here at the station liked them whenever I made them for everyone here. So the next thing that we're going to move on to is a breakfast classic. Of course, we are talking about pancakes. Let's check it out. Today we are making a breakfast staple, pancakes. It's a really super easy recipe that you're gonna wanna try at home. Let's get started. Here's what you're gonna need. 1½ cups of flour, 3½ teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 egg, 3 tablespoons of melted butter, and 1 1/4 cup milk. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go ahead and start mixing all of my ingredients together while I am letting my griddle heat up. I have used some cooking spray, sprayed down the pan already, so that way the pancakes don't stick to it and they're gonna be real nice and easy to flip. But let's go ahead and put our batter together. So I've got my flour and butter. One egg. Baking powder and salt, sugar, and of course our milk. Then we're going to whisk all of that together until the batter is nice and smooth. Now what I'm going to do is I'm getting ready to put the pancake batter straight onto the griddle. Again, we've already greased the griddle, so the pancakes shouldn't stick to it. But I'm just going to take a spoon and put it right on top. And as I add to the pancake that's already on the griddle, I'm going to add it to the center, so that way the pancake flares out. we go. One of the things that I enjoy watching on various social media platforms is there are people who can do all kinds of amazing artwork with pancakes. I am not one of those people. We just have to settle for simple, round pancakes. All right, and then you're just gonna let them set on the griddle for a little while, and this is the hard part, is just being patient and waiting for them to be ready. The way you're gonna know if your pancakes are ready to flip is they're gonna start bubbling around the edges, and you're gonna be able to see some bubbles come to the top, and then you're also gonna be able to see around the edge that it's starting to turn a little bit brown. So that's gonna be when you know they're ready to flip. So they're not quite there yet, they're getting really close. All right, I think this one right here is ready to go, so let's go ahead and just get our spatula underneath here and then flip, and there you go. We'll do that to this one. Flip. Flip. And then once you've flipped your pancakes over, it's important to just keep an eye on them. Again, you're gonna be able to see that it's starting to brown along the bottom. That's how you're gonna know that they are done and ready to be put on a plate, serve, and enjoy. All right, those pancakes are delicious. And of course, if you are making some pancakes for your kids at home, you can turn that into all kinds of fun shapes. But if you're not artistic, like myself, then a just regular circle pancake will definitely do the trick. Well, one final recipe for you today is going to be the steak and egg burrito. It's packed with protein and a really good breakfast for some of our friends that maybe want something a little heartier in the morning. Today, I'm going to be making a steak and egg breakfast burrito that's super easy to put together, and I've got a few helpful tips for you. Let's get started. So here's what you're gonna need. Stir-fry cut steak, 3 eggs, a 1/4 cup of milk, salt and pepper, and tortillas. All right, so I've already got things going here. What I have done is I've got my meat frying up here in this frying pan, and one of the tricks for you is that you are going to want to salt and pepper your meat before you put it into the pan, or season it before you put it into the pan. That way, all the flavor goes into the meat. Now, in this pan over here, I've got a tablespoon of butter just to grease the pan. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put my eggs in here, and we're gonna scramble these up. Now, unlike the meat, when you are making eggs, you don't wanna season your eggs whenever you first put them into the pan, because especially salt is gonna make your eggs turn gray and rubbery texture, and nobody wants that. So let's go ahead and pour our milk in here too. And get these guys all stirred up. All right, and once we've got our eggs mixed here, then one of the things we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna let the eggs set. A lot of times people are very tempted whenever they make scrambled eggs to stir constantly. You don't want to do that. That's going to make your eggs, again, really rubbery. We want to avoid doing that. Now, when it comes to our meat, we do want to make sure that we are stirring that up, so that way every side gets cooked the way it's supposed to. So let's go ahead and turn the burner off on our meat. It's looking like it's done. So I'm going to go ahead and stick some of this meat right here on my tortilla. And this is a good protein-packed breakfast. So if you've got somebody who likes to have a real hearty meal at the start of their day, this is going to be perfect. You can kind of see we've got them turning into that nice scrambled texture that we like. So we're just going to let the rest of it cook. And give it about 30 seconds or so, and then stir it to get more of that mixture on the hot part of the pan. All right, it looks like our eggs are nice and scrambled. Let's go ahead and take a look just right here so you can see nice and fluffy. And that is what we want our scrambled eggs to look like right there before we put them onto our tortilla. So let's go ahead and hop over here. Put those scrambled eggs right on top of that meat. And then the fun part is you can make this breakfast burrito your own by adding whatever toppings that you want. I'm a big fan of cheese, so I'm going to sprinkle some cheese on top. But then if you like hot sauce, then you can do hot sauce, or you can add different seasoning. If you like an everything bagel seasoning, that could be really good as well. So just sprinkle that right on top. And then fold it up, serve, and enjoy. All right, well, there you have it. Now, a little fun story for you is eggs was actually the first thing I ever learned how to cook. And when I was really little, I thought I was hot stuff and would put every spice in the spice cabinet in those eggs. Now, my grandmother, who was around a lot growing up and also helped me cook, was one of the nicest people in the world and a saint for this, because she ate every single set of eggs that I made her, regardless of what they were seasoned with, and told me how great they were and helped build the confidence I have to cook for you all today. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Cooking with Kaitlyn. I definitely enjoyed spending some time with you today, and I look forward to bringing more recipes to you soon. So have a great day.